So you've read the title of this video and you're probably thinking, oh, it's got to be another clickbait video. How do you fix a blown engine for free? Well, I can assure you it's not clickbait. Not only did I fix this engine completely for free, but I actually made a profit in the process. So stick around to the end of the video and I'll explain in detail everything I did. It's something that anyone can have a go at, save yourself a bit of money. So let's get on with the video. So it's time to pull the broken engine out of this Subaru. We'll get everything swapped over onto our new engine and then we'll get that back in and hopefully get it running in this episode. So this is where we're up to so far. So I've pulled the broken engine out of this one. I've got my trusty Nissan Patrol seat as an engine stand. That works nicely. So I've pulled off all the timing gear on this one. I changed the timing belt not even 500 kilometers ago, so it's still brand new, all genuine Subaru stuff. So I don't know the kilometers or the history on the other engine because that has been an engine swap. So I'm just going to put all the brand new stuff and then we know we're good for another 100,000 Ks on that. So we'll get the timing cover and the harmonic balancer ripped off and have a look. So the first thing we need to do is pull the harmonic balancer off, which will give us access to the timing cover. You don't need any special tools to remove the pulley. Once you undo the nut, you can just give it a few taps by hand and it should come free. If you don't want to miss any of our latest videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash the like button. So with the timing cover off, I have to turn the motor over by hand so we can align all the timing, and then I'm getting a paint pen and marking all the timing marks so I can see them easily. So while everything's apart, I'm giving everything a quick clean and making sure there's no oil or anything that's going to get on our new timing belt. So next up it was time to install the water pump. Now this is where things took a turn for the worst. I hope this is a joke. So that was a disaster. I went to put on the new water pump and someone must have over tightened the old bolts because as soon as I've got them even close to the torque setting, they've stripped out the thread and pulled all the aluminium out. So this is going to turn into an absolute nightmare of a job. The time belt didn't even need to be changed because when I pulled it out it still looked pretty good. It was just a peace of mind job, but now it's just cost me a shitload of time. So I've gone and bought a helicoil kit or thread repair kit. I'm going to give this a go. I've never used it before, but hopefully it should be easy enough because we need to fix this properly because I can't have the water pump leaking. So first thing I had to do was drill out the old holes to the new size and then blow out all the old swarf, and then we could get in there with the tap and die and tap in a new thread for the helicoil. Now the handle for my tap and die kit wouldn't fit because of where the timing cover was hitting, So I had to resort to using an adjustable spanner, but it seemed to do the job just fine. So that helicoil kit worked perfectly. It was actually super easy to use. I was getting a bit worried about having to drill through the aluminium block and everything, but that was super easy, and they've all reached torque spec now, so we can move on. With the thread repair now taken care of, it was time to refit all the new pulleys, our timing tensioner and the new timing belt. So I've got the timing belt back on, so the last thing I've got to do is just set the clearance on the guides. So I've got a little feeler gauge here and it just needs 1 mil of clearance, so we'll go through and do that now. So if the timing's been set correctly, we should be able to turn the engine over by hand a couple of revolutions, and then all the marks should line back up in the same spot again. Timing marks line back up after we've turned the motor over a couple of times, so that is all good to go. So I know you're probably watching this looking at all the oil and mess in here thinking, why didn't he clean it first? Well, the reason why is because I was missing this little rubber cap up the back that exposes the flywheel and the clutch, and I didn't want to go pressure washing it in the car and then everything gets stuck behind there and ruin the rear main seal. So I'll wait until I get everything buttoned up, put back in the car and sealed, and then I'll give everything a good degrease and pressure wash. So while the motor's out, it's the best opportunity to change the spark plugs. Nice and easy access. So I picked up a set of NGK laser platinums. So these are what came up when I searched what spark plugs on the system we needed. Crazy expensive. These things are about $50 a spark plug, so hopefully they're decent. With the engine now fully assembled, it was time to refit it back into the car. Alright, so I've got the motor in, I've got everything back together, I've put some coolant in it, so let's start it up and see what happens. So that's going to be the quickest I've ever heard an engine start for the first time after putting it in. I expected it to whine over for a bit, but that just fired straight up. So there's a little bit of steam coming off because I spilt too much coolant on the headers. So give that all a wash off and then I can run it up and bleed this cooling system. So now that the car's back on the road driving, there's one more thing I want to add, which no WRX would be complete without. An STI wing, so we'll get that fitted now. So I'm just going to run a little bit of sealant over the holes. So I've got this mastic sealant. It's not like silicone, it doesn't dry and stick on hard, so you can still pull it back off later on, but it will seal and keep the water out. So because we do want to pull the spoiler back off when I have to respray the whole car, but at least this will keep the water out in the meantime. So you're probably wondering how I did this engine swap for free. Well, when I originally had the problem with the rod knock on this engine, I looked at a few different options. So option one was to get a brand new short block, reuse my heads and all my other accessories and do a bit of a hybrid engine like that, which was the option I was going to go with. Just due to cost and stuff like that, I had a look at secondhand engines, and we were looking at about $4,500 at the wreckers. There was only one engine I could find locally that would suit this model, but it was $4,500. They wouldn't give you a warranty unless a qualified mechanic installs it, which I'm not a qualified mechanic, I'm just a backyard enthusiast, so I'm taking a risk with that engine for $4,500 that might have an issue later on, and I can't really test it. So then I started looking at whole cars, because I thought if I can buy a whole car that's got maybe a gearbox issue or been in a crash, then I could take the whole engine out of that, sell off everything I don't need, and then sort of try and cancel out a bit of the cost and do it on the cheap that way. And then that way I could at least test the engine before I go pulling it out, because we could run it up and everything. So I looked around and I couldn't really find anything that would work. So this thing sat on the back burner for a few months waiting around. Eventually on Marketplace, a Subaru popped up for $4,000 with a blown gearbox but a running engine. So I went and had a look at that one. I couldn't get the engine to run properly. It would turn over and then just die. So it was a bit of a risk. I couldn't really test it. So I ended up walking away from it. And then about 2 days later, the listing popped back up again for $1,800. So I rang the guy, I managed to get in there in time. I thought for $1,800, it's worth the risk. I mean, the wheels alone on it were like $2,000. So I thought, even if everything's stuffed on it, at least I can take the wheels, wreck it out, make a bit of money that way. So as you would have seen in the earlier video, that's the car I bought and put on the channel. We ended up getting it running. The gearbox wasn't even broken in it, it was just the clutch. So we ended up getting that running, got to test it around for a bit, and then I decided it was time to swap it over. So we've swapped that into here. I've swapped the wheels and suspension. And then once we got everything we needed out of that, I advertised as a rolling shell for sale and put up for offers, and ended up getting $2,500 for the rolling shell. So that means we made a profit of $700, and that's how we fixed the car for free. So obviously I got an absolute bargain buy for $1,800 for that car. I know it doesn't come up very often, but if you were in the same situation, I mean, look around, you might find one, $2-3 maybe, and then if you took the time to actually wreck it out, individual parts, and sell them like that, you'd probably make your money back or close to it. So it's one cheap way to fix it. Obviously, as a long-term car you want to keep, you might want to go with the short block option. For me, I've already got another big project on the go, so I just want to get this back on the road and just enjoy it for what it is for now. So we've managed to achieve that at zero cost, plus a bit of profit. So, I mean, you can't complain with that, can you? So future plans with the car. Next week it's going off to get a dyno tune, just a basic tune to suit the mods I've got. I'm not trying to push power out of it or anything like that. It's got a set of aftermarket headers and a full turbo back exhaust. So it's just a tune to make sure that everything's correct. We got the right AFRs, it's all running properly, and then that'll be good to go. And then the next thing I need to move on to is the paintwork, as you would have seen. It's got a lot of clear coat fade and a few dents and stuff like that. So I already bought all the paint and everything I needed a while ago. I've just got to set aside a good amount of time to do that, and then we can get all that sorted and get it looking good. So I just want to make sure it was mechanically sorted first before we worried about the cosmetic stuff. So that's sorted, and we'll move on to that later on. So I only ever planned to do one video on the Subaru build. It was a bit of a background project I had going on, but you guys seem to like it, so I've made it into a little bit of a mini build series with this one. So it will be back on the channel. I've still got a lot of work to do on it, but for now we're going to be back onto the four-wheel drive stuff, so I need to get this Patrol up and running. I've made a lot of progress in the background, as you might see, so there'll be plenty more videos on that coming up, so make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll be back very soon. Thanks for watching. See you next time.